An otherwise ordinary spring evening in Hickory, North Carolina, was shattered by the sound of gunfire. On a Tuesday night in April 2025, families were coming and going from the popular Chuck E. Cheese restaurant, a place known for children's birthday parties, arcade games, and family entertainment. The incident did not occur inside the establishment itself, but rather unfolded in the adjacent parking lot, a shared space that suddenly became a scene of chaos and alarm. The sudden eruption of violence transformed a familiar local landmark into the center of a serious criminal investigation, leaving the community seeking answers about what had happened and why. The tranquil atmosphere was replaced with the flashing lights of police cars and the urgent sounds of sirens. According to initial reports from the Hickory Police Department, the shooting was not a random act of violence. Investigators believe it stemmed from a dispute that escalated quickly and dangerously. At approximately 8:30 p.m., as the restaurant was still busy with patrons, multiple shots were fired into a crowd of people gathered in the parking area. The loud, sharp reports sent people scrambling for safety, with parents rushing their children away from the windows and doors of the restaurant and nearby businesses. The targeted nature of the attack suggested a pre-existing conflict between the individuals involved, but the public setting created a significant risk for innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. Police were on the scene within minutes, securing the area to ensure the safety of everyone present and to begin their investigation. They immediately began interviewing witnesses who were both inside the Chuck E. Cheese and in the surrounding parking lot, trying to piece together a clear timeline of the events that led up to the shooting. While thankfully no one was killed in the incident, the potential for a much greater tragedy was clear to everyone involved. The event served as a stark reminder of how quickly a public space can become a scene of danger, leaving a lasting sense of unease for many residents who frequent the area with their families. The immediate aftermath was one of confusion and fear. Parents who were inside the restaurant with their children described the terrifying moments when they realized the sounds they heard were not fireworks, but gunshots. Employees acted quickly to keep customers safe, guiding them away from the entrance and toward the back of the building. For the city of Hickory, this incident was a deeply concerning event. It raised questions about public safety in areas designed specifically for families and children, and it prompted a swift and determined response from local law enforcement, who pledged to find those responsible for bringing such violence to a place of family fun. The Hickory Police Department, along with assistance from the Catawba County Sheriff's Office, launched a comprehensive investigation into the parking lot shooting. Detectives worked through the night and into the following days, meticulously collecting evidence from the scene. They recovered spent shell casings and other forensic materials while canvassing the large commercial area for any available surveillance footage that might have captured the incident or the suspect's vehicle. Witness statements were crucial in the early hours, as police worked to identify the individuals who fired the weapons. The collaborative effort between law enforcement agencies underscored the seriousness with which they viewed the brazen attack in a public setting. Within a short period, the investigation led to the identification of two primary suspects. Authorities named Garin Nathaniel Killian and Toland Huff Jr. as the individuals believed to be responsible for firing into the crowd. Warrants were issued for their arrests, and a search began to locate them. The breakthrough in the case came from a combination of witness descriptions and digital evidence that helped investigators connect Killian and Huff to the crime scene. The speed with which suspects were identified brought a small measure of relief to a community on edge, demonstrating the police department's commitment to resolving the case quickly and holding the alleged perpetrators accountable. Garin Nathaniel Killian was the first of the two suspects to be apprehended. He was taken into custody without incident by law enforcement officers following the execution of the arrest warrant. His arrest marked a significant step forward in the case, allowing the judicial process to begin. Killian was formally charged with multiple serious felonies, reflecting the grave nature of the attack and the number of people who were endangered by his alleged actions. His arrest was announced by the Hickory Police Chief, who thanked the public for their cooperation and the officers for their diligent work in bringing a suspect into custody so quickly after the violent event. Following his arrest, Killian was charged with 7 counts of attempted murder, a charge that highlights the number of people police believe were directly in the line of fire. He also faced 3 additional counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill. These charges underscore the prosecution's view that this was a deliberate and reckless act of violence that put multiple lives at risk. The second suspect, Toland Huff Jr., remained at large for a period after the shooting, with law enforcement continuing their search for him. The focus of the investigation shifted from identifying the suspects to building a solid case for the courts. The reaction from law enforcement and city officials was one of firm condemnation. Catawba County Sheriff Don Brown spoke publicly about the incident, expressing his frustration and anger that such a violent act could occur in a space frequented by families and children. He emphasized that his office, in conjunction with all local law enforcement partners, would use every available resource to ensure that those responsible faced justice. The public statements from officials aimed to reassure a shaken community that the safety of its citizens was their top priority and that such flagrant disregard for human life would not be tolerated in Catawba County. The shooting sparked widespread concern among Hickory residents, particularly parents who considered the Chuck E. Cheese a safe and reliable destination for family outings. Online community forums and social media pages were filled with discussions about the incident, with many expressing shock and disbelief. Some parents shared their hesitation about returning to the area, while others called for increased security measures in the shopping center's parking lots. The event initiated a broader conversation within the community about preventing violence and ensuring that public commercial spaces remain safe havens for everyone, especially for the youngest and most vulnerable members of the community. In a surprising and concerning development, Garen Nathaniel Killian was released from custody after posting a $200,000 bond on April 14, 2025, just days after his arrest. This decision drew sharp criticism from law enforcement officials, including Sheriff Brown, who publicly called the release infuriating. The sheriff voiced strong concerns for public safety, arguing that an individual accused of such a violent, targeted attack in a public place posed an ongoing threat to the community. The release on bond became a contentious issue, highlighting the complexities and differing perspectives within the criminal justice system regarding pre-trial detention for violent offenses. The community's concern was amplified by the fact that the shooting was not an isolated incident. The research notes indicate a connection between this April shooting and a later, more tragic mass shooting that occurred at a house party in Catawba County in June 2025. This link, which implicated the same suspects, deepened the public's anxiety and raised serious questions about the judicial decisions that allowed an individual charged with multiple counts of attempted murder to be released back into the community. The sequence of events created a narrative of escalating violence that left many residents feeling that the system had failed to protect them. As of today, July 16, 2025, the legal proceedings for the April shooting are intertwined with a larger, more complex investigation. The case against Garen Nathaniel Killian has taken on new urgency following his alleged involvement in the subsequent mass shooting in June. After being released on bond for the Chuck E. Cheese incident, Killian was later arrested again and charged with attempted first-degree murder in connection with the June party shooting, which left one person dead and 11 others injured. This development has ensured he remains in custody, and prosecutors are now handling a multifaceted case involving multiple violent crimes and numerous victims across both events. The search for the second suspect, Toland Huff Jr., has also intensified dramatically. Following the June mass shooting, authorities have issued a warrant for his arrest on a charge of first-degree murder. He is considered armed and dangerous, and a significant law enforcement effort is underway to locate him. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has joined the case, offering a substantial reward of $15,000 for any information that leads directly to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the June shooting. The involvement of federal authorities highlights the scale and severity of the ongoing investigation, which now spans multiple crime scenes and involves at least a dozen law enforcement agencies. The legal process for Garen Killian is expected to be lengthy and complex. He is facing a formidable list of charges from both the April and June incidents, and prosecutors are likely to pursue the cases vigorously. Pre-trial hearings will be scheduled to address evidence, motions, and the possibility of combining charges from both events into a single trial. The public and the victims' families are watching the case closely, hopeful that the judicial system will deliver a resolution that reflects the gravity of the alleged crimes. The outcome of the bond hearing after the first incident remains a point of significant public and official scrutiny. For now, the investigation remains active and ongoing. Authorities continue to appeal to the public for assistance, particularly for any information regarding the whereabouts of Toland Huff Jr. and any camera footage from residents near the June crime scene that could provide more evidence. The events that began in the parking lot of a Chuck E. Cheese in April have spiraled into one of the most significant criminal cases in the region's recent history. The community of Hickory is left to wait for justice while grappling with the sense of security that was shattered on that spring evening.